morning to you. Good morning, and how do you do? How do you do, dear students? You're welcome to today's English class of grade 4. Today we are in Unit 10, Past Events. Under that, we are dealing with Reading 2. Okay? So, any guesses what Reading 2 is about? Okay, to make guesses, I'm going to show you some pictures related with reading 2. Okay, and you have to make guess the title. Are you ready? I hope you are ready with all the stuffs required. Whatever you need is in front of you. All right, let's see the pictures. The first picture is here. Can you guess what is it? Okay, you can see a person. What is she doing? Is she listening music? Talking something? Right? Is she holding a mic? Yes, it is related to that. No. Actually, this is okay. I'm not going to tell right now because gradually you will be able to guess yourself what it is. Next, okay, I am sure this picture will make you clear. Okay, oh yes, this is telephone, and the picture you saw at first, this is also telephone. Okay, so people used to make calls like using such telephones in the past, and gradually we could see such telephones, and then these days you could see such telephones, right? And these days what do we use instead of telephone? Mobile phones, right? So it is very handy. In everyone's hand we can see mobile phones, right? Look at here, I have got also a mobile phone over here, right? Okay, this is a mobile phone, telephone. Okay, we have been talking about this. So probably our today's chapter is related with reading 2. Okay, yes, look at the pictures and answer these questions. Now this is your actual pre-reading exercise of your reading 2, and again there is a picture. Two people are talking, right? What else do you see? Are they talking directly? Obviously not, right? What do you see in the picture? The first question. We can see two people talking in phone, right? Do you have a telephone at your home? Do you have a telephone at home? Probably yes. Most of us, we have telephone at home, but these days telephone might have been replaced by mobile phone, right? Because it is very handy. See, portable, we can take phone. This phone is really handy. We can carry in our hands, take from one place to another. What do you use it for? What do you use it for? Why do we use telephone or mobile? Telephone or mobile? Okay, some points. Come on, think up some points. Okay, keep on guessing. Let me give you some points. Making calls, obviously. So we can see these two people talking in mobile phone. Usually the first work of mobile phone or telephone is making calls to contact with people, our friends, relatives, right? To contact with people we use telephone or mobile phone. Then share messages. Why do we contact the people? Why do we call people, our friends, relatives? Why do we call? Share messages. If we have something to tell them, if we have some message to give them, deliver them, or some information to give them, we make call, we phone and tell them, give them information, right? Another task, to know about updates, what's going on, updates of our friends and relatives. So those things we talk in mobile or telephone. We may just simply call, dial and simply call our relatives, friends, and then we share our informations through telephone or mobile. But these days there are multiple functions in mobile. There are multiple functions. We shall be talking about it later on. But right now, just let's focus about sharing information and making calls through telephone. That is what we can do through telephone. So we have seen pictures related to telephone, our discussion related with telephone. You must have guessed what is the title of our reading too. Yes, that is true. The title of our today's lesson is telephones. Now look at this picture again. One more picture is here, and now you can see, what can you see? You can see a person. Who is he? Can you recognize him? Who is he? For your information, kind information, let me give you a clue. He is a very famous scientist. Famous scientist. What he is famous for? Then what he is famous for? What did he do? So you could see something over here. What is it? Telephone, right? Telephone. He is the person to invent telephone. Okay, so he is the person to invent telephone. Then what's his name? Who is he? Okay, let me give you a short information about him. He is none other than Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell. He is a Scottish born inventor, creator, okay? Creator, scientist and engineer. So he is a scientist, inventor, engineer, very talented person. First practical telephone. He invented first practical telephone. So he was born on 3rd March 1847 in Scotland. Died 2nd August 1922. His spouse, wife, name was Mabel Gardiner Hubbard, and nationality. So he got nationality of American, Canadian, Scottish, as he moved from one country to another, migrated. He got many nationalities. So his nationality American, Canadian and Scottish. So this is short information about Graham Bell, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented, created telephone. And we are going to read a text about him and his invention. And also we will be doing exercises followed by the same text. Let's start our reading text. Let's start. Do you know that there are more telephones, landlines and mobile phones combined in the world than people? There are many people in the world, but more than that, More than that, there are telephones and mobile phones. Telephones, landline, and mobile phones are more than the people. So most of the people, they have mobile, not only one, two, three, people carry even more than one mobile, and they have telephone at home, landlines. There are more than 6 billion mobile phones in the world. 6 billion. Many mobile phones in the world. What is mobile phone? I have already shown you real mobile phone, and also we can see picture over here, right? I think meaning is not required, itself the mobile phones itself is clear enough, though I have brought meaning as well. Wireless handheld device that we use for making calls, and other features are also there, other things also. We can do multiple tasks in mobile these days in the world. It is hard to imagine the world without telephones. So these days, it is very hard to imagine our life without phones. Can you imagine your life without phone? Very difficult, right? So mobile phone is really very important. As I said, we can do many things in the mobile except making call as well. So make call also, no? It connects us with our nearest and dearest, our family, our relatives. We can get updates from them. That's why telephone, to exchange the information, telephones and mobile phones, they are our part of life now, cannot be separated. And this credit goes to, thanks to Alexander Graham Bell, who invented it in 1876 AD. And this credit goes to the inventor, creator, okay, who designed, created. This credit goes to Graham Bell, who invented, created it. He created telephones, so we should thank him. Continuing the text, let's continue the text. Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland, as we have discussed previously as well. He was born in Scotland. As a young boy, he was very interested in music, poetry, and art. So, as a young boy, he had many hobbies, interested, showing curiosity. He was curious in the field of music and poetry. He maybe used to write poems, and then artworks, drawings, arts. He was interested in such areas. When he was 12 years old, when he was 12 years old, he began to invent things. See how genius person he was. At the age of 12, he started to invent things. And at the same age, at the age of 12, his mother began to lose her hearing and later become completely deaf. So, but he was unlucky in the sense that his mother became deaf, completely deaf. Deaf means unable to hear. There was problem in his mother's ear, and she could not listen completely, and became deaf, unable to hear. It was really a shocking moment for him, shocking time for him. But that moment changed him greatly. How? This event greatly affected. He was greatly affected by affected. He was due to that incident. Alexander Graham Bell, no, he was affected. Therefore, he became very interested in the study of sound and human voice, sound and voice. That's why he was concentrated. He was already curious in nature. He wanted to find out, invent, create some new things. He was so curious at the age of 12, and he got the area because of his own mother, though it was not pleasant thing that his mother uh, became deaf, but that the same moment created, that incident created him, like gave interest to do something, and that was study of human sound and voice, our voice and sound. He started to make more study about it, and let's see what happened. Then in 1870, at the age of 23, he moved to Canada with his parents, where they bought a farm. Okay, then he migrated to Canada when he was grown up, a young man, and there they bought a land, big land, started their own farm, and then there he built a small workshop and continued his experiment of sounds there. So he started own workshop mean a building in which goods are manufactured or repaired. This is a picture of his workshop. He started to work there. Workshop mean a place where they can work and then do some experiments as well, or manufacture new thing. So there he started to work and make experiments. That means a scientific procedures undertaken to make a discovery, to create new thing, to discover new thing of sound there. In 1871, he moved to Boston in the United States to teach hearing impaired students. So there he went and started teaching to hearing impaired student. Hearing impaired students are those who are not able to hear. And among them, one of his students was Helen Keller. Okay, she was Helen Keller. She was the one who was unable to see, hear, and speak. Not able to see, hear, and speak. Since 1873, he began to teach less and focused his energy on experiments with sounds. There he started teaching less and started more experiments. On March 10, 1876, while working on his invention, his creation. What was his invention? Yes, telephone. He created telephone over there, invented telephone, and there what he did, Mr. Bell spoke the first words ever on the telephone. What he spoke? Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you. These are the first words he spoke on telephone. I have one more picture over here. This is a classroom of Graham Bell, where he used to teach hearing impaired students. Classroom of Graham Bell. Okay, with this we have done with our reading comprehension, reading text, and I would like to request you, all of you, let's read it once again, and this time I request you to read along with me for a loud reading. Let's do a loud reading once, and then we will move to exercises based on this text. Are you ready, all of you? I hope you are ready. Okay, let's go to our reading. So all of you, Please be attentive. Let's start our reading. Do you know that there are more telephones? Do you know that there are more telephones, landlines, and mobile phones combined? Landlines and mobile phones combined in the world than people. In the world than people. There are more than 6 billion mobile phones in the world. There are 6 there are more than 6 billion mobile phones in the world. It is hard to imagine. It is hard to imagine the world without telephones. The world without telephones. Thanks to Alexander Graham Bell. Thanks to Alexander Graham Bell, who invented it in 1876 AD. Who invented it in 1876 AD. I hope you are following me. Please stay along with me and read along with me, okay? Or repeat after me. Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland. Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland. As a young boy, he was very interested in music. He was very interested in music, poetry and art. Poetry and art. When he was 12, he began to invent things. He began to invent things. At the age of 12, his mother began to lose her hearing. His mother began to lose her hearing and later became completely deaf. This event greatly affected Alexander Graham Bell. This event greatly affected Alexander Graham Bell. Therefore, he became very interested in the study of sound, and the human voice, Last paragraph is left. Okay, this is the last one. Let's do it as well. In 1870, at the age of 23, he moved to Canada with his parents. Where they bought a farm. He built a small workshop. And continued his experiment of sound there. In 1871, he moved to Boston. In the United States, to teach hearing impaired students. One of his students was Helen Keller, who was unable to see. One of his students was Helen Keller, who was unable to see, hear and speak. Since 1873, he began to teach less and focused his energy on experiments with sound. On March 10, 1876, while working on his invention, Mr. Bell spoke the first words ever on the telephone. Mr. Watson, come here. Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you. I want to see you. Okay, we are done with this reading as well. Now, time to move to what? Time to move for exercise. Okay, now look at exercise. What's given there? See here. Okay, exercise number A. Exercise number A. Use these words, phrases to create meaningful sentences of your own. Okay, we have these 6 words: mobile phones, billion, invented, hearing impaired, workshop, experiment. Okay, I'm going to paste all these words on the board, and I'm going to help you to use these words into writing into meaningful sentences. I will give you examples. These will only be examples, and you have to make you have to write your own sentences. Okay, so I'm going to paste it on the board. Are you ready? Okay, so words. Which are the words? First word is mobile phones, right? Mobile phones. Then billion. Billion. Okay, next word is billion. Another word is invented. 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 And then hearing impaired. Okay, fourth one is hearing impaired. Then there is workshop. Workshop. After that, the final word is experiment. Now let's use these words into sentences. Like the first one is mobile phones. People use mobile phones to make calls. Billion. Billions. Billions. Let's make it billions of people use mobile phone. Now let's use invented. Mr. Bell invented the telephone. Hearing impaired. He used to teach hearing impaired students. Workshop. Mr. Bell used to work a long time in his workshop. Finally, we have one word, experiment. Okay, scientist. Scientist make different experiment. In their labs. Okay, so we can use words in the sentences, and that makes meaning clear, right? Here, this one, workshop, and then finally experiments. Okay, so this is how we can do. You can use it in your sentences of your own. Now let's move to next exercise. Okay, Let's move to exercise B, and this is table completion. Complete the table with correct information from the text. Move to Canada. In which year? Have you found the year? Right, it is 1870. What about 1871? What happened in 1871? 1871, he moved to Boston in United States. Focused more on experiment. When it was? So it is 1873. And what about the event in 1876? Have you found what happened? Yes, Mr. Bell spoke the first words ever on the telephone. Okay, with this, completion is over. Now what's there? Let's see. Number C exercise, answer these questions. Okay, one by one we are going to answer it. A number. Where was Alexander Graham Bell born? Where was he born? So place name, particular place name, where do we find it? Yes, in the very first paragraph, the particular place name is Scotland. Okay, so Scotland, he was born in Scotland. Then number B, what were his childhood interests and hobbies? So his hobbies were, you will find over here. Okay, let me so interested in music, poetry and art. Music, poetry and art. So these, I'm giving you clues. You can write in the full sentence later on. Okay. Number C. Why did he build a small workshop? The reason you will find somewhere here. He built workshop, continued his experiment of sound. So answer will be to continue his experiment. Number D. Why did he go to Boston? Why did he go? So your answer is around here. Yes. So to teach hearing impaired students. Moving to number E. What were his first words on the telephone? We discussed in table filling also, right? This one, the last line, you can find in last line, last paragraph, last line. The answer is this one. That means, Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you. Okay, we have done with question answer session. And finally, one discussion question is here, and I'm going to leave this question for you to discuss with your friend. Number D. Have you or any of your family members or friends ever used a mobile phone? Of course, they use, right? How did you feel? What's your feeling? Okay, you discuss with your friends. With this, our class is going to end. I hope you have enjoyed today's class and learned about Alexander Graham Bell. So that's all for today. Thank you. Namaste.